He pushed me and up against the wall. He kind of moved his body towards me, and then he used his knee to separate my legs. He said, I want to f you. Jeez. And he was whispering in my ear, and he was kissing me, and I was trying to get away from him. And then when I pulled away,
You right?
He had taken his hands and put them down my skirt, and taken one hand and penetrated me with his fingers.
He raped her. What she discussed there is rape. That's what it's called. It's assault, yes, but it's rape. Joe Biden has never been seriously questioned about this. He's had a few friendly reporters, but he hasn't been pressed hard. And it is shocking to me that we have to go to an Australian magazine program, 60 Minutes in Australia, not 60 Minutes in America, to get the facts, or at least to get the specifics from the victim. CNN has no interest in this. MSNBC has no interest. Quite frankly, I'm not aware of anybody has any interest in this. That's why we do it here on LevinTV, on the BlazeTV network. There's a lot of static out there. You know, the media are looking for all reasons and any reasons to try and handicap and defeat this president. And it really is quite appalling, the influence that they are exerting. Not so with Joe Biden, though. Joe Biden doesn't get analyzed. Joe Biden, they don't ask for his health records. His background's not looked into. 47 years in Washington, no matter. His family's gotten rich off his name, no matter. Instead, they push books, they push articles, they push speculation, they push disgruntled family members, whether the president's wearing a mask when they think he should wear a mask, and all kinds of Mickey Mouse nonsense going on out there. It's really, really quite appalling. Lost in a lot of this is a woman by the name of Tara Reade. Tara Reade was once a staffer for Senator Joe Biden. Tara Reade has come forward, which takes a lot of guts, and accused him basically of molesting and frankly raping her in a public place. The New York Times, the Destroyer, so, and they basically raised doubt about her. Same with the rest of the left. It's amazing. The Me Too movement is no movement at all. You don't hear a word from Hollywood. You don't hear a word from anybody. Other women have come forward too about Joe Biden. A Secret Service agent's wife, another woman came forward. Women came forward and talked about how he touched them inappropriately and put his face in their hair inappropriately. Well, Tara Reade was invited to speak on 60 Minutes. Not 60 Minutes in America, 60 Minutes in Australia. Now, last time I checked, Joe Biden's not running for president in Australia, but you got to give credit to the Australian media. They're really quite good, as opposed to the American media, which is clearly protecting Joe Biden. Joe Biden is now being portrayed as this righteous individual who follows the social distancing and does this, that, and the other, versus this brute and bully, Donald Trump. Well, let's take a look at what took place on 60 Minutes on Australia, because I guess this is going to be the only place in America that's going to take a very, very close look at it. Not a hit-and-run look, a close look at it. So let's get started. Go.
I worked my whole life to empower women. I worked my whole life to prevent abuse.
You saw him up close as a politician.
Correct.
What kind of political operator is he?
The kind where he smiles, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, right?
Here I am in the Senate office. Hi,
Long before Joe Biden was a household name across America.
And here's my desk.
Tara Reade worked in his Senate office in the early 90s.
Here's a good picture of Senator Biden.
It was her dream job. She hoped it was the start of a long career in politics.
He was a political hero of mine because I bought into the image. And I really believed he was someone to not only admire, but also I wanted to be like him. Like I had hoped to be maybe a senator or a congressperson someday.
And here's the view from my window.
You sound really happy.
Yeah.
There's my computer. And there's my posters.
I was such like a little puppy, like so eager and happy. Yeah.
Tara says it wasn't long, though, before her political hero turned into a predator.
He would just put his hands on me. He would, whenever there was a meeting or if I would see him, usually he'd put his hand on his shoulder and then he'd run his fingers up underneath my hair, on my neck, and things like that. And I had never experienced that with a boss.
Now, let's stop there. We've had many, many women come forward and say exactly the same thing now. And we've even seen many of these women on video. How he touches women, he touches their neck, touches their cheeks, touches their hair, touches their back, their shoulders. And by the way, young women, middle-aged women, and older women, doesn't seem to matter. Go ahead.
And I didn't know him. It's not like there was like small talk, like where we would, you know what I'm saying? There was no reciprocal relationship or flirtation. There was nothing like that. So it was just very much him coming into a room, putting his hand on me or whatever.
Did you ever tell him, don't do that to me?
No, no. I was too scared to say that. I didn't say anything.
Did he touch other women?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just didn't, he seemed to lack boundaries with women.
Some might try to pass the behaviour off as a sign of the times.
Reade was among several women who said Biden had touched them inappropriately.
It's now threatened to undermine his bid for the White House.
No, that ain't right, man. That ain't right.
But it's a pattern of behaviour that remains today.
Those Joe Biden shoulder massages, they're like magic. You should try one. Oh, you have.
Joe Biden recently vowed to be more mindful of personal space after 7 women came forward with claims of inappropriate touching.
I hear what they're saying. I understand it. And I'll be much more mindful. But I'll always believe governing, quite frankly, life for that matter, is about connecting.
You know, this is what's amazing. He's been told how to try and talk his way out of it. He's creating a different narrative about connecting, and he's a people person, and he's a toucher, and so forth and so on. Now, we've come across people like that, but you don't basically molest somebody. You don't fondle somebody. That's not a people person. That's a pervert. Go.
But what Tara Reade claims happened 27 years ago in an open corridor of the Senate is much worse.
So we were alone in this corridor, and he said my name, and then the next thing I knew, he pushed me and up against the wall. He kind of pushed, moved his body towards me, and then he used his knee to separate my legs. He said, he said, I want to f you. Jeez. And he was whispering in my ear, and he was kissing me, and I was trying to get away from him. And then when I pulled away,
You right?
He had taken his hands and put them down my skirt, and taken one hand and penetrated me with his fingers. And when I pulled away, he pulled back, and he looked at me like kind of almost annoyed, and he said, "Come on, man, I heard you liked me." And that's when I could see that he was angry, and he put his finger kind of towards my face, and he said, "You know, you're nothing to me. You're nothing."
Imagine what this woman went through psychologically and emotionally. She knows no one's going to believe her, especially back then. She knows if she says a word, the senator will deny it and destroy her. Just imagine what she went through. This is the quintessential case why things have changed, at least hopefully since then. So women can come forward and women are to be believed, and then you have investigations and so forth. But at this point, she's young, first year in the senator's office. He tries to take advantage of her. And today, nobody cares. It's just shocking to me. Go ahead.
Confiding in her neighbour, Linda Lacasse.
She basically said that he had put her up against the wall. He put his hands up her skirt, and he put his fingers inside her.
All right, so let's stop there. From a legal perspective, this is called corroboration. Not that she was an eyewitness to the event, but that many, 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 many years ago, the same story was told to her. Really, it sounds like the same exact story was told to her. Go ahead.
I said, I think you should file a police report. She was upset. She was crying.
Did you doubt what she was saying at all?
No, I didn't.
What prompted you to come forward and publicly corroborate her story?
I felt that I needed to tell the truth.
Did Tara ask you to come forward?
I volunteered.
You filed a written complaint to the Senate, but in it you only mention Biden's inappropriate behaviour. You don't mention the sexual assault. And I'm wondering why you wouldn't mention that, because there is a very big difference.
Well, I don't know her answer because I haven't watched this. I'm watching it with you as we go along, because she was humiliated. You know, I have a daughter, I have a granddaughter, I have a wife. I think about this. It's humiliating. And to come up against a powerful senator, it's not so simple. Go ahead.
And sexual assault.
Because I was afraid to. I mean, I consciously did that. The way they had it set up at that time, it was you fill out this form and hand it back. I didn't know who was reading it, and I was too scared. So I thought at a one-on-one that I would reveal that and talk about it, but I didn't feel comfortable.
After nothing came of the harassment complaint she says she filed to the Senate in the 90s,
Tara Reade emotionally describing what she says happened in the spring of 1993.
It wasn't until 2019 that Tara then shared her story publicly, saying that Joe Biden touched her in ways that made her uncomfortable. But, just like her formal complaint at the time, it was only half a story. She says she wasn't ready to talk about the alleged sexual assault.
So what changed for you? What made you think, nah, I'm going to tell the full truth?
I decided that people needed to know he's going to the highest office of the land. He's running on a platform of character. Well, I know what he's like. I know what his character's like. And he doesn't deserve the presidency based on what happened to me.
Now stop there. That's exactly why the media will not cover this. Because they've chosen sides, and so they're going to protect Biden. I bet they know even more about Biden than we do. Biden has had a cozy relationship with the Washington media for half a century. Donald Trump has had no relationship with the Washington media. And so they all know a lot about each other, that is, Biden and the media. But the media have to know a great deal about Biden, and they're covering up a great deal about Biden. Tara Reade, in some ways, destroys that narrative. Can you imagine in the last 3 weeks of the election, Joe Biden having to actually answer substantive, direct questions about Tara Reade? Maybe Bob Woodward should have written about it. Maybe then it would have gotten into the public forum. Or maybe John Bolton should have written about it. Or maybe the Atlantic should have written about it. You get my point. The media cherry pick what they want to use, even as flimsy and ridiculous as it may be. But when it comes to a substantive person, another human being, not a Trump supporter, but another human being who was abused by a candidate, they have no interest whatsoever.
For more, sign up for LevinTV.